I think I'm going to bear crawl to fundraise. And so then my next thought was, well, what do I bear crawl? I don't even know. There was 45,000 people that ran it this year. It's a 7.46 or a 12K. And they were super supportive. I'm sure, they all thought I was absolutely insane.
Every time I turn on my phone or the TV, it feels like the world's falling apart. The news is full of chaos. And if that's all you ever see, it's easy to believe everything's just getting worse. But that's not what I'm seeing behind the scenes. In real life, in our communities, I'm watching God move like I've never seen before. I've seen lives restored, churches growing, revival happening at business events, people stepping out in faith, and God giving dreams and visions, calling people to rise up and make a difference. And that's why I started Transforming Communities, because I want to show you what God is actually doing right now. I want to introduce you to my friends, people who are stepping up, taking risks, and transforming their cities for the kingdom. So if you're tired of bad news and you've been wondering if God still moves, He does, and these stories prove it. To support what we're doing and to hear more stories like this, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to be notified every time a new podcast drops, just click the bell icon next to the subscribe button. With that being said, let's jump into the Transforming Communities podcast. This episode is brought to you by Helping Captives. It's crazy how many people don't realize that human trafficking isn't just somewhere else. It happens right here in our own communities. Helping Captives is a faith-based anti-trafficking organization that exists to provide freedom, hope, and opportunity to survivors of sex trafficking across the United States. They do this through their different services such as emergency and stabilization, 24/7 around-the-clock care, professional counseling, and much more. If you're a survivor of sex trafficking and need help, or you're wanting to support a survivor's journey, take the first step at helpingcaptives.org. That's helpingcaptives.org. Today on Transforming Communities, I sat down with Brenton Sconce. If you live in the Spokane area, you've probably seen the headlines. He's the man who bear crawled all of Bloomsday. That's 7.5 miles over the course of 24 hours. But the bear crawl wasn't the hardest thing that he's ever done. Behind that moment is a story of big expectations, brokenness, addiction, redemption, and discovering who you really are when everything that you built your identity on falls apart. This is one of those conversations that kept surprising me. Every time I thought I knew where the story was going, it took another turn. If you've ever wrestled with failure, wondering whether God could still use you, or simply needing a reminder that hope is never out of reach, I think this conversation is going to stay with you. So here's my conversation with Brenton Sconce. All right, guys, today we have an incredible guest. Brenton Sconce is in the house. And if you don't know who he is and you're in Spokane, you probably were not on social media around Bloomsday, because if you were on social media at all, it was like Brendan's story and then the rest of Bloomsday. And I don't know if I've seen anything quite like that. I think you got Mike Ellis out there.
Yeah.
He's got a good social media following. He's probably one of the best in town at really promoting things and getting behind companies. And I've seen him help grow another company in town, and he's really good at what he does. And I think that it was really cool just to see how God used you. And this podcast is all about transforming communities. And I love this story because why you were out doing what you were doing is to transform communities. For those that don't know, Brenton bear crawled a 7-mile race here in Spokane, Washington. And it took him 24 hours, and it was quite the story. So we'll get into that. But at first, I wanted to ask you a question of just about, who's Brenton? If I run into you in junior high, like who's Brenton?
Oh man, in junior high,
yeah,
I was just a straight baller.
Okay,
in junior high. Like basketball was my thing.
All right.
No, yeah, I grew up, playing sports, primarily ice hockey and basketball. And, but I grew up with the idea of having, kind of a ministry future, being a pastor, things like that. I come from, a ministry family.
Okay.
Like father's a pastor, grandfather's a pastor, great grandfather's a pastor, that sort of thing.
Oh, wow.
And so, I think for a long time, I just had this idea that I was going to be a pastor. And that's where.
Where'd you grow up at?
All over.
Okay.
I was born in the Midwest in Wisconsin. lived in Minnesota, lived in California, lived in Washington, a couple of different places. Went to school in Virginia. So we were overseas. Wow. My parents were missionaries in Papua New Guinea for a while. Wow. So we were over there for a little bit when I was young. And so kind of everywhere. Yeah.
That's incredible. So so when did you feel like you were so you just growing up in ministry, you felt like this is just what God's calling me to do because of the history?
Yeah.
Was there an experience or anything in particular that really made you feel like I'm called to ministry?
Nothing that stands out. I mean, I think it was just a common thread that I always kind of felt pulled towards. And, when like late teens, early 20s, I was trying to do kind of a bunch of different stuff. I wanted to be like a radio disc jockey and be like the next Ryan Seacrest and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so I was like going that route. And then I was going to be a clothing designer, and I wanted to get into fashion. And when you're a kid, you just like have all these other dreams. Yeah. But I always just kept coming back to like this idea of ministry. And by like I would say my mid 20s, I was actively involved in church here in Spokane and getting involved in like community group leadership and things like that. And then, I eventually became a director of community groups for our church. And that really, I think, fueled the fire of like, okay, this is what I'm called to.
What's a director of community groups?
I just oversaw like all of the community group ministries in the church. And so I would help coach like the leaders and work on expansion for the groups and things like that.
So community groups, like small groups.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you really loved relationships and connecting with the people,
relationships,
doing that
discipleship,
kind of
growing.
Okay.
Very big in like the concepts of sanctification and like just the Christian life.
Yeah.
And just what it looks like to follow Jesus and all the ups and downs that comes with.
So you did kind of have a pastoral heart where you love to walk alongside people and just be in their life and things like that.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
So I was doing that for a while, and then I ended up going back to school and getting my undergrad degree in ministry leadership.
Okay.
And then at that point, I kind of was like, all right, I'm going to be a pastor.
Sure.
And started putting my feelers out there, and then ended up pastoring north of Seattle. I led a church over there for a couple of years. So
where at?
Up in the church was in Granite Falls, which is kind of northeast of Everett, a little bit. So kind of Marysville, Lake Stevens, area.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. We've got an organization we work with over there, even further north in Linden.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I was kind of curious to know.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Yeah. So you started pastoring, and then how did that go? That's got to be its own like animal of going from being in ministry, doing small groups, to now I got a degree and I'm going to go out and launch and be a pastor. That's got to be a good, interesting thing.
It was super interesting. And it was the church that called me basically was a revitalization project where the church saw that they were kind of on their last legs and just wanted to spark some kind of energy and bring some life into the church.
Yeah.
And so I had done a lot of studying and training specifically on like replanting and revitalization. And so I stepped into that, and it went well, statistically, numerically, like all of that went well, but functionally there was a lot of things. Like I ended up having to work multiple jobs just to make ends meet. My wife was working full time.
Yeah.
The cost of living over there was I mean, it is just wild. And so after a couple of years,
isn't the statistic like 70% of pastors have to have bivocational jobs?
Yeah, probably somewhere around there. Because it was just, and especially with the revitalization, I mean, you're talking about a church that's obviously small, that's looking to grow, but they don't have necessarily the means to fully support a pastor. And I went into it knowing that.
Sure.
And there's a whole lot of dynamics and backstory to that, of course, as to why it didn't play out. But we ended up, after a couple of years, just realizing it's not sustainable for the family. And like, my wife was working full time. We had our oldest son was little at the time, and we were just like, this isn't. We were just ships passing in the night, that kind of thing. And so I ended up stepping out of that, and we decided to move back to Spokane. That's where my wife's from. And I've got some family here. And so, so we moved back to Spokane in 2020. Okay. And I ended up working for an online school here in Spokane, kind of in the enrollment department.
Okay.
And then that's what I did for the next, basically 5.5 years.
Wow.
And we moved back, and then I was actively, working in the church that we had come from too. So.
Okay. Which church was that?
It's Redeeming Grace Church. Yeah.
Okay.
So at the time we were Redemption downtown.
Yeah.
And then we just recently merged about a year ago with Trinity Baptist.
Okay. Yeah. So. Okay. And then this is where you met Jill.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you guys were in the church right downtown, right across from Dick's Burgers.
Yep. Yeah. Right on 2nd Division.
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
Beautiful building, what you guys were able to do inside of it, but probably a rough location.
It got that way very quickly. Yeah. So, I mean,
when we first were
there,
security outside of the building all the time, probably.
Yep. Yeah. And it got to the point where because we used to do even midweek stuff, and it just got so rough down there that we couldn't even do midweek stuff, and we just got down to where we were only doing Sunday mornings.
Yeah. And that's hard for people like you guys that are community minded.
Yeah.
To just only do something on Sundays. We before you guys got the building, before you remodeled it, made it all beautiful, my dad would go down there with groups of people, and they would feed the homeless out of that church.
Yeah.
And so when I walked in and saw what you guys had done to remodel it, I was like, wow, this is quite incredible.
Yeah.
So you could see your hearts for really want to impact the community.
Mm-hmm.
So that's incredible. Did you, I want to kind of bridge into the next part of it, because I want the listeners to really understand why you're so passionate about recovery.
Yeah. But
I'm curious, and I have a question for you. As somebody whose grandfather was in ministry, and whose dad was in ministry, I was a little on the other side of it, where I was almost like, I don't know if I want to do it. And then God called me into it. But then when I was starting the organization, dude, there's so many ups and downs. And because my family was successful in ministry, I felt like this extra pressure to be successful no matter what. And so instead of just being Caleb, who's trying to listen to the Lord and do what he's asking me to do, I put all this extra pressure on myself to not fail, to make sure that I made it successful, because I didn't want to leave a bad family name or whatever. Instead of just being where I'm at on the journey that I'm at. And I went through a lot of personal internal chaos for a season.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, I'm curious, did that play any part in you realizing okay, God's not calling me to do this. I did this for 2 years with our parents. I'm coming back to Spokane. Where did the whole recovery journey start, and was that a part of any of it?
Yeah, that was a huge part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, because I think for me in stepping out of the pastoral role, all of a sudden I was faced with not only identity questions of who am I if I'm not a pastor?
Yeah.
Right. This whole time I thought I was going to be a pastor. Now I'm not a pastor. And so there was a lot of identity questions in there. And then the sense of failure was massive. And it reached far beyond just oh, I failed as a pastor. Cause then I start internalizing it. Right. And thinking, oh, I failed as a husband, as a father, as a son, I'm also the oldest child. And so there's all of those dynamics. One of the stories that I tell a lot that kind of, I think, helps describe where I came from was when I was really little. I was doing something in the church with a bunch of other kids, and there was an opportunity to pray. And so I raised my, little hand and was like, I'll pray. And so I prayed, and somebody around me had heard that prayer, spoken, and said something to my mom, I think, and was like, well, there's the next Billy Graham. And my mom, I love her, just thinking that would be so encouraging and nice, told me this story of you're the next Billy Graham. Well, for whatever reason, the way we're wired, or maybe the way I'm wired, that dug deep in me to where now my view of what success looked like wasn't maybe necessarily Billy Graham level
Yeah,
of influence
yeah.
and reach.
Yeah.
But there was this like kind of overarching like narrative of having some sort of ministry success. And in kind of our theological camp, I found like kind of two versions of success. One is like you step into a church and it just grows, right? Like numerically, your platform grows, you're getting book deals, you're getting all this stuff. That's success on one side. The other side was like you step into a church and it struggles and it's hard and it's difficult, but you just tough it out and you're there and you're faithful and you grind and you're there for 30, 40 years.
Right.
And so for me, I'm like 2.5 years into this ministry and I'm stepping away from it. So I felt like I had failed both sides of the spectrum. I didn't tough it out and just stick it out and be, quote unquote faithful. And I also wasn't this, raging numeric success.
Yeah.
And so when I stepped away, even though I was the one that chose to step away, it just felt like a complete collapse of everything I had really built my identity around.
Got it.
And that's where the recovery story really launches in. Because then to avoid dealing with or not even knowing how to deal with the feelings of failure, the feelings of identity, that's when I started drinking. And I'd been a social drinker for years, but quickly realized alcohol was a quick way to numb and to cope and to escape having to deal with those feelings.
Yeah.
And then it just escalated from there to where it became a daily thing.
Wow.
And it became very much a physical dependency. I mean, all the classic withdrawal symptoms. I was having those if I would go without alcohol for a number of, hours, things like that. But it became a way for me to feel like this is what I need to show up in a way that I want to show up, whether that's at work or with family or whatever. And it put me in a place where like I didn't have to deal with the feelings of failure. I could just make my way through the day, and not have to wrestle with who I am and what success looks like, what failure looks like, and like who God says I am, stuff like that. I didn't have to deal with that as long as I was running on a buzz.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy to just, I can so much relate to so much of that.
Yeah.
Because there's been nights of crying, like nights of just my body physically wanting to shut down, because I think my uncle and my uncle specifically at the mission was so successful. And I was weirdly enough, like the only one in the next generation that in our family at this point that's been called to full-time ministry. You feel this incredible pressure. So like what I was thinking was like when your loving mom said that, it's almost like a kid picking up a basketball and then them going, relating them to being the next Michael Jordan. Right. And you're like, Billy Graham is like Billy freaking Graham. You know what I mean? So it's like, so anything less than, being able to be 6'8" and dunk.
Right.
You know what I mean? You feel like you're failing. Yeah. And so I think there's a lot to process and learn from that.
Yeah.
How would you, before we move on, I just want to pause there for a sec. What would you say to a pastor or a parent or a father or mother whose kids, in a similar situation that you were? How would you coach them through walking that out with their kid? Knowing that genuinely they just want their kid to have faith and serve the Lord.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think, especially with my mom, like I know her heart, right?
For sure.
Her heart is just pure love and just want to encourage and there's no hint of like, I'm going to put this pressure on my kid. Like that was my own thing.
Yeah.
I think for parents and I, because of my experiences, like with my own kids, I think saying those kinds of statements can be okay so long as they are completely couched and surrounded with the concept of like, I love you and you're worthy and you're valuable and the Lord loves you regardless of if you do this or don't do this. Like, you're loved because of who you are and created in the image of God, and because of what Christ has done. That's your identity. Like, that's who you are. And so if you become Billy Graham, cool. If you don't become Billy Graham, cool.
We just want you to learn how to hear God and obey him.
Yep. Exactly.
Because then it becomes like, if you're like, hey, I heard the Lord, he wanted us to go and pour into this church for 2 years. Now he's asking us to move on. The only filter you're looking through is, did I hear the Lord and did I obey him? And did I do what he asked me to do in that season? Not the extra.
Right. Yeah. And I think trying to walk your kids through the concepts of like success, of what success looks like within our relationship with God, and that being that success is just faithful obedience where you're at in the moment, that it's not hitting a certain plateau or level of whatever it might be, whether it's ministry or business or athletics or whatever. But success is actually just faithfully walking every single day. Like you just take the next right step, and that's success, right?
I love that, man. Yeah. And it's so countercultural to like what we would think, because to us, success would be in the world, like, how many followers do you have? How many, because even some of the people that I've been in contact with and going on some of their shows, like, that's always the first question they ask, like, well, have you written a book? Do you have your own website? How many followers do you have? And it's like, they're only looking through this one lens. And then I have other people that are going, I don't really care about that. I feel like I love the story. I want to help, and that you can tell the difference. But I think that might be the difference in just being like a true pastor or a pastoral person is, I've been around some incredible pastors that have 30 people in their church. But they know every single person in their church. They know everything they're going through, and they're pastoring them. And to me, that's success, because they're being faithful in that. And then I've been around other people that have thousands of people in their church, and that's just what God's called them to be. And they're leaders of leaders, and that's just how the Lord's made them. So I love what you're saying, is that success is just faithful obedience. Yeah, it's an incredible way to put that.
Yeah, just quiet obedience over a long period of time.
Yeah,
and I think, and for me, what became so absolutely life-giving was the concepts of belovedness, and like our belovedness in Christ, and that belovedness exists regardless of what you do, like even obedience or disobedience. That belovedness is still there. And we can get into that later, but that was a massive turning point for me in my recovery journey.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I would love to hear more about that, especially if it was really a big part of your recovery process. Let's get back into the recovery part.
Yeah.
With, walk us through what it's really like struggling with alcoholism, because it's easy to just skip over and go, I came home, I was struggling, so then I just started drinking. Yeah, but like, are you, going to Total Wine and getting high-end alcohol and sipping on it at night with a cigar with, and having a glass with your wife before bed?
Yeah.
Or are you actively draining accounts, going to, just trying to get your hands on any type of alcohol? Like, what is it really like where you would say, I'm a social drinker, like you said, I was a social drinker, to now I'm becoming an addict?
Yeah. So I think everyone's story is a little bit different, right? To themselves. For me, what it looked like was going from social drinking to feeling like, needing alcohol to just get through the day and show up, was, stopping at the gas station and picking up something on the way to work. Anytime I had a break, or anytime I was, out by myself. But internally, like, it's super fascinating, especially when you understand the kind of the neuroscience behind addiction. But obviously there's a lot of brain change there, that it becomes very much this like salient element, just like breathing air. Like, your brain literally starts to think that you need it to survive. And it starts, it changes your prefrontal cortex. And there's a whole bunch that goes in there. So like your impulse control, your long-term executive functioning goes, like, just completely goes. So you can't think like, oh, if I drink these, 6 beers and then get behind the car, something bad could happen.
Got it.
That synapse doesn't fire in your brain anymore. And for me, it was like, I wasn't doing top shelf stuff. I was doing the cheap stuff because, I had family, I had work, I had, all these things. And there was no way for me to drink the amount that I felt like I needed to drink without raising eyebrows. And so I started, hiding it and started being deceptive. And it was like, it removes your ability to be present. Because just like if you're struggling to breathe, all you can think about is when are you going to get that next breath of air?
Wow.
Even when I would be home during that period of really active addiction, there's just this thought of like, when's my next drink?
Wow.
Like, when am I going to get this? And it becomes this just crazy, not even obsession, but just reality in your own mind. And so at the height of it, like at the worst of it, that was just kind of my existence. It was just like, when am I going to get the next drink?
How long did you do that?
I would say at that level, I would say it was probably 6 months to a year.
Oh, wow.
Of that level. And so you can imagine, like, obviously the impact it had on my family, the impact it had on my wife was, and so, I
were you hiding it well, or was she, I mean, she's your wife, so she's not.
Oh, she knew something was going on,
right.
But I don't think she knew exactly what, but she obviously could tell something was off. Like I wasn't the same guy.
Yeah.
But probably couldn't quite put a finger on it. Yeah.
Because you're hiding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I would drink. I mean, we would drink at home too, like maybe on the weekend or whatever with dinner. But everything at that point, everything was just hidden. Like when I was just by myself, alone, and everything was just.
Then there's the shame that comes with all of that and the hidden life, and then you're like, I can get through this by myself. Right. I don't need to tell anybody.
Yeah,
and then
like
it
the
just gets
irony
deeper
of
and deeper.
Dealing, like drinking to deal with failure, but then feeling like a failure because you're drinking.
Yeah,
like it's so ironic now when I think back on it. But and then you get just crazy shame because even in that stupor, like you're aware enough. At least I was aware enough to know what I was doing. But at that point, then it became this thing where it was, at least for me again, there was no white knuckling it. Like there was no stopping it. And then you just get, unparalleled amounts of shame and guilt. And you look at your kids, you look at your wife, you look at your family, your friends. You can tell when they know something's not quite right. And every look that they say, every statement they make, like just was a crushing weight of shame. And so what do we do to fix that? Drink more.
Go numb more.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. What was the turning point for you?
The turning point for me was there was one morning where I literally was caught red-handed trying to steal cash for my next drink. And at that point there was...
Hold on a sec. Like you're stealing from...
I was stealing cash from my wife's purse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
you're like, sorry, no, robbing a store or
gas station or
something.
Okay.
No. So I actually was, was going through my wife's purse just to find cash.
And you're getting cash because she can't track it?
Because it's untraceable, yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
So now you're totally hiding it from her.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
And she caught me going through her purse, and of course, rightfully asked, "What are you doing?" Mm-hmm. And I made up some story as to why I was going through her purse, which is ridiculous. And and at that point, like the pain in her eyes is something I will never forget, because she didn't say a word. She just looked at me turned and walked away. And I got into my car and just started driving away. Like, I don't know. I just was like, I need to get out of here, I guess. And that's where I had really the grace of God. But just this moment of clarity of like, if I keep going down this road, I will lose everything. And at that moment, I texted her and just said, I think I'm an alcoholic and I need help. And that's all I said. And then I called a friend of mine who had just gotten out of rehab himself and just said, hey, I need help. I need to get in how do I do this thing? How do I get into rehab? And he was able to make some phone calls. And 2 days later, I was in a rehab facility because I was aware enough to know, and I had tried so many times before to stop on my own or to slow down or to moderate. And I knew I couldn't do that. And so I was like, I need to get somewhere where it's forcibly, you know, I'm sober. So, so 2 days later I was in rehab.
Okay.
And then started the whole recovery journey really there in detox and then inpatient.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your wife's response when you said, and pulled the mic a little closer, but
yeah.
What was your wife's response when you texted her and said, I think I'm an alcoholic and need help? Like how did she respond to wanting to help you?
She didn't respond for a while, understandably. And I think at first there's, again, understandably anger, frustration.
You've been gaslighting her for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, when I finally, when I was able to talk to her and say, I got a spot, I'm going to go into rehab. I remember the morning that I went, my friend came and picked me up to drop me off. And I do remember her hugging me and telling me she loved me and that she would be there when I got out. And I hugged the boys and then I walked out. Mm-hmm. But for those 2 days, it was, I think a lot of, like I said, anger and frustration and confusion.
Probably. And then not knowing, like, are you going to change? Are you going to shift? Are you doing, Yeah. And so to come back and probably for her to realize, like, you're serious about the recovery was probably a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think, and just a lot of unknowns, like, who is this guy? Like, I thought I knew him. He was this, he was one way this, at this point.
We were just pastoring a church together, and
Yeah.
now he's secretly hiding and drinking all the time. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting. So, but then knowing she loved you, that she was going to be there for you when you got back, that probably was a huge weight off of your chest when you walked into rehab, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was for sure. I mean, I think there was still a lot of, at that point I still had a lot of questions of like, and doubts if she would be that sort of thing, but I just had to kind of take her at her word. And, and at that point I knew like there was no hope for us if I didn't get better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just had to focus on that.
That's a heavy feeling. Do you think that a lot of people going to rehab are walking in with a lot of similar situations and the heaviness? And like, maybe it's just people that haven't been through rehab. Like we just go, oh, that's great. Like you need to go to rehab, but it's hard to put ourselves in the situation of the person that is the addict that is impacting all these. It's impacting family. It's now going to cost money probably to go get help. It's going to, it affects the whole entire family while you're gone.
Yep.
So because you really have a heart for recovery, but you've been there, you've been through it. So, maybe to somebody that hasn't been through that, is that when you're in rehab and you're with other people, is that a similar thing that all of you guys are kind of going through?
I think a lot of us.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think unfortunately there's definitely the folks that are in there that have, just burned every bridge that they've ever had. And so they're really starting from scratch and trying to make sure they take care of themselves and then kind of moving forward from there.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot of us that, at least that I met, that were in there that had families and spouses and, and I think the weight of like the family and the expectations, and even the memory of like who you once were, like that weighs heavy. And I think for me, I had to get to a point where I was honest with myself of who I was, my failings, my shortcomings, and recognizing that if I didn't process and work through on healing that part of me, then there's no hope to like love the family the way that they deserve to be loved as well. And so, yeah,
kind of that whole love others as you love yourself, but it's kind of hard to love others if you don't love yourself.
Yeah. And there's, I think, the spiritual side of that is you're not going to love people well the way that God wants you to love them if you don't first recognize the way God loves you. And that's what kind of became a big turning point for me in the recovery, like in rehab, was recognizing, like I read a book when I was there. It's called Gentle and Lowly by Dane Ortland. And the theme of the book is really just the father heart of God and the loving nature of Jesus. And it's based on the verse in Matthew, right, where it says, "Come to me who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest, for I am gentle and lowly in heart." And that book was immensely transformative for me in just recognizing, like I said, my identity as starting to see myself as beloved regardless. Because I think it was easy for me to think like, here I am, this failed pastor, failed husband, failed parent, in rehab, and away from my family. And it's easy to have that be my identity.
Yeah.
And through scripture and through this book, I was able to just kind of start understanding the idea of like the belovedness that God has for his children regardless. And we know that as parents, right? Like when your kid's doing what they should do, great. When they're not doing what they should do, like, sure, you might be disappointed, frustrated, all that stuff. And your job is to help walk them through that, but it doesn't change your love for them by any means. And so I think for the first time in my life, I sensed the father heart of God towards his children. And that became my identity moving forward. And it's still to this day. Like I have the word beloved framed in my house, because that is my identity now. And so all of my efforts, all my work, it all flows from that identity as nothing separating me from the love of God, even my own stupidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible, man.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Be Bold for Jesus. If you've ever felt the urge to live out your faith more boldly, to step up and make an impact in your workplace, your church, or your community, this conference is for you. The Be Bold for Jesus conference is coming back to Spokane, Washington. It's a weekend packed with worship, encouragement, and practical tools to help you live out your faith confidently. You'll hear from incredible speakers who are living examples of what it means to be bold for Christ. Tickets are on sale now at BeBoldForJesus.org. That's BeBoldForJesus.org. Grab your tickets today and let's be bold together.
Why in the world would you decide to go bear crawl Bloomsday? Like you go through recovery. Sounds like you get a heart for recovery.
Yeah.
And are you processing, like walk me through how you go from getting out of recovery to wanting to do Bloomsday in general? Because most people don't even want to run 7 miles.
Yeah.
And then and if they do bear crawl, they can't bear crawl for 5 minutes. Like, walk us through that. How do you go from getting out of recovery to deciding to do Bloomsday?
Yeah. I think I was about 2 years into my recovery journey, maybe 2.5 years. So I hit 4 years in July, so next month.
Nice.
And I was about 2.5 years in, and I think there was, I don't even know where it came from necessarily, but just the concept of giving back and serving is really big in the recovery community. Like, there's the concept of like your sobriety, your recovery is only as good as much as you give back and as you serve. Okay. And the concept really is biblical, right? Like having a servant's heart and loving people well. Yeah. And I had gotten to a point where about 2.5 years I'd been doing, nonstop therapy sessions and EMDR to deal with a bunch of my past. And so I'd gotten to a point where I was like, okay, I feel like physically I'm getting healthier. Emotionally, I'm probably the healthiest I've ever been. Mentally, I'm the healthiest.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think this is the time to start thinking about what does it look like to help the recovery community? Because I had fallen in love with the recovery community. Like, the people that I met on this journey and continue to meet are some of the most real, genuine, authentic people that you will ever meet. I mean, they're vulnerable. They're just raw. And there's this crazy otherness to people in recovery that they're just others focused.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with that. And so I was like, I want to give back. And so I started thinking, well, what would it look like to do that? Because I've got a full-time job, family, I can't just drop everything and work at a rehab or something like that. And so thinking about my journey, I was like, well, what was the most helpful thing for me? And it was going into the aftercare program. So following detox and inpatient stay in rehab, there's all these aftercare programs where there's like counseling, there's sober housing, which I didn't need because I had a home and family, but there's sober housing where people can go and stay, and it's kind of like a transition housing. There's group classes, neuroscience classes, all these different elements that help people after being in treatment to then start establishing like coping skills, build a community around them, like people that actually care about recovery, and gives you all the tools you need, right, to be successful. So that's what aftercare really does. And I knew that was so huge in my journey, because if I had just gone out of detox and treatment and just gone right back to my home, I wouldn't have any of the skills. I wouldn't have any of the understanding of why my brain works the way it works, all of that. And it would have been so much easier to just fall back into old habits.
Sure.
And so I knew aftercare was hugely important. I had received a scholarship when I was in treatment, and I wouldn't have been able to do the aftercare program without it. And so I contacted the treatment center I came out of and asked them about the scholarship. And they told me that I had been the last recipient of a scholarship and that was 2.5 years prior.
Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah. And so right then I was like, all right, there's my mission.
Did they just run out of funding? Did they stop the program?
I think just ran out of funding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I was like, oh, there's my mission. Like, the scholarship helped me heal.
Yeah.
And I want to give other people that same opportunity, because as you can imagine, most folks in rehab, unless you're like celebrity rehab, you're not going to have the means to be able to afford all these programs.
Right.
So I was like, I want to do a scholarship, and I was like, how do I fund this thing? And I knew a car wash wouldn't cut it. I knew, a bake sale wouldn't cut it. And so I was like, I want to do something just wild. And there was a guy who had done something similar a couple of years prior. And so I was like, I think I'm going to bear crawl to fundraise. And so then my next thought was, well, what do I bear crawl? And Bloomsday was the next thing. And I was like, it's a big local event. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll bear crawl Bloomsday. Let's go.
For those people that aren't in Spokane, you want to explain like what Bloomsday is?
Yeah, so Bloomsday,
how big it is.
Yeah, it's massive. So I don't even know, there was 40-something thousand, 45,000 people that ran it this year.
Holy smokes.
And it's a 7.46 or a 12K mile or, race. And it starts downtown Spokane, winds around over across the river, up a couple hills, and then up Doomsday Hill, and then back through the neighborhood. And it's like kind of a big circular route, really, but very, very hilly, and a beautiful route. But yeah, that's Bloomsday, and they just celebrated their 50th anniversary of running this year.
Wow.
And so I contacted the Bloomsday Association, told them that I wanted to bear crawl it, and they were super supportive. I'm sure they all thought I was absolutely insane, and but they were real supportive. My next call was to my buddy who's a trainer, and I was like, "Hey, I know you like doing crazy things," and I was like, "Do you want to train me to bear crawl 7 miles?" And he was just like, "Yeah, of course I do. That sounds great.
Crazy enough to go for it."
Yeah. So I started training. So I trained from March 2025 up until Bloomsday, which was just this last May. Yeah.
Oh wow! So almost a little over a year.
Yeah, just over a year.
Okay, let's walk through that, because like I said earlier, most people can't bear crawl for 5 minutes. What's training like to bear crawl a 12K?
Well, dude, there's believe it or not, there's no programs out there for bear crawling long distance.
You think? I'm like, are you? I'm just trying to think, dude. Like, my back would be broken by the end of half a mile.
The training really consisted of a lot of just high intensity interval style, CrossFit style, just a lot of endurance training.
Yeah.
Because basically we had to start with just I was already in decent shape, but I need to get in peak shape. Yeah. But then it's fascinating because with the bear crawl movement, it's unlike anything else you really ever do. And so a lot of it just came down to just bear crawling, just doing it over and over and over again.
I'm like, do you get scoops of honey every 30 yards?
Yeah,
How do you keep it going?
The closer we got to the event, I started dialing in the actual, bear crawling nutrition when it came to during the bear crawl.
Crazy.
And so, we were doing honey, we were doing Celtic salt, we were doing pickle juice.
Oh, you actually did honey? I was joking. I was cracking a bear joke.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
We totally did honey. Yeah. Yeah. There's these little honey waffles, and I would just mow those down.
Yeah, because what would your macros have to be for something like that? That would be crazy.
How many calories? Part of my training, I was cutting because I wanted to take I wanted to drop as much weight as I could to take the pressure off my joints.
Okay.
And so I ended up dropping 15 pounds.
Okay.
And then from that point on, it was just kind of maintaining. So I was just I think I was at 1,200 calories, 1,500 calories a day. And then my protein intake was high. And then the last, probably month before Bloomsday, all April, I increased my carb intake by 20-30%.
Okay.
And then I had a whole protocol for 72 hours before, all the way down to the morning of.
Wow.
And my trainer had that all dialed in. He literally just texted me eat this, drink this, very specific.
Yeah.
Which was immensely helpful.
Because just to even have the energy to do that would be, you'd have to have so many calories.
Yeah. Yeah. So the 72-hour protocol was, a lot of carb loading basically, and eating protein, very little very little fiber, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then, that last month before Bloomsday, I started tapering my training down because at kind of the peak of my training, I was bear crawling probably about 10, somewhere between 10 and 15 miles a week, over the course of, 5 days or so, 6 days.
Yeah.
And I would train at 5 a.m, because I would work during the day. And so I was up at 4:30, and then I was hitting the track or the trail at 5 a.m. I'd bear crawl for an hour and a half.
Did you like the track or the trail more? Because I would almost imagine the track would be easier to count.
The track was easier to count for sure.
Yeah.
The track terrain was a lot rougher on my gloves and stuff like that as I would train. It would just tear them apart.
Okay.
Faster than the road, the asphalt does.
Yeah.
but I liked the track because I could keep track of, how many meters I'm at and all of that. But,
so what's your strategy practically when the gun goes off? Like what did you and your coach figure out was going to be the strategy to actually get this thing done?
So pacing was huge. Early on in my training, I would just kind of go as fast and as far as I could.
Yeah.
And my trainer's like, dude, you're going to burn yourself out and you won't be able to go the distance. And so I worked a lot on my pacing. And like I said, growing up, I was a basketball player, not ice hockey player. Okay. So all I'm used to is fast, like sprinting.
Okay.
Right. I'm not a distance runner. I'm not anything like that. So
you're not running lines. You're just, you got a ways to go.
Yep. Yeah. And so I had to really work on my pacing, and that actually took a while. And so, the gun goes off and I just start slow and just go. But every 400 meters I would break and stand up, refuel, rehydrate, get back down, keep going. And that was kind of the MO.
So for people that don't know, that would be like doing a full lap on a track.
Yeah. Basically a quarter of a mile.
Yeah. Then taking a break.
Yep.
That's still insane.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I got to, in my training, my fastest times were like I could do a mile in 45 minutes.
Okay.
And then every subsequent mile was about a 5-minute addition.
Yeah.
And so the longest I did during my training in one session was 5.5 miles. And I did 5.5 miles in about 6.5, 7 hours.
Wow.
Was right where I was at for that. So given all of that, I thought a 7.46 mile race, I was like, I'll probably finish somewhere between like 8 and 10 hours is where I was looking at. Because I knew I would have to stop and fuel and rewrap my hands, things like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll do this thing in about 10 hours. And so I expected to finish Bloomsday at like 10 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. But it didn't work like that.
Okay. So it didn't work like that.
No.
Why didn't it work like that? What did you run into? And I would imagine at some point when you realize this is not going the way I thought it was going to go, you would probably start having thoughts of quitting. How did you push through that? Like, what's going through your head when it's getting hard?
Yeah. I think the number one thing that changed,
because it took him
everything.
24 hours to do this.
Yeah.
So more than double what he was training for. And you still pushed through and finished.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest thing was the heat. So it was one of the hottest Bloomsdays on record, if not the hottest. It was like 81, 82 degrees out. My start time was like 10:45. So just approaching, the hottest parts of the day. I wasn't prepared for the heat because even though I trained like the whole summer prior, I was bear crawling at 5 a.m.
Got it.
And I trained in the rain because I was like, it might rain that day. I trained in the snow because I was like, it could be really cold. And I never got a chance to train in just pure heat. So what I wasn't expecting was how many times I would have to stop to just rehydrate and refuel.
Okay.
By the end of mile 1, I was already just drained, like just from the heat itself. The asphalt was super hot. It was melting in my gloves. So I was having to rewrap more times than I expected as well. So all of that just adds up. And then just being so exhausted from the heat, you're just moving a lot slower. Like what's interesting is when the sun started going down, probably 8 p.m., 9 p.m., my pace picked up. And then even by the very end of the race, like in the early hours in the morning, 7, 8 a.m., I was actually going faster than I had done at any time prior.
Wow.
And, but the heat was probably the number one factor that I didn't consider or think about affecting me as much as it did. Yeah.
Geez. So if you ever bear crawl again, you're going to do it in like Detroit or something like that.
I'm gonna do like 70 degrees or below. Yeah. But yeah, that took forever. And we got about 9:30 p.m., around the time I thought I would be finishing.
Yeah.
And I realized I was really only about halfway done. And so I knew,
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, this is going all night.
Yeah.
And, there was a lot of frustration for me on myself. Like a lot of like, dude, you've been training for this. Why is it taking so long? Like, and there was a lot of really weird internal like dialogue of like,
Sure.
why can't you do this? You know?
Yeah.
And I think the things that really helped me move forward were, my team was their number one by far, the thing that got me through, being used by God to just remind me of like why I was doing this, what it's for. Like, I even had somebody say, they're like, you've already done this. Like you've been through the recovery journey. This is, because it became this massive metaphor of life and recovery of just one step at a time, one step ahead. It's hard, it's humbling, it's low. And so somebody's like, you've already done this. Like you just keep going, you know, and there's just kind of that thing. And so in those moments where I was just very frustrated at myself, I just had to let that go and then just keep going. And I would just get down and keep crawling. But yeah, that point and then Doomsday Hill was real tough too.
Cool.
Yeah. I would have only imagined. How did you get through that?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, a lot of people ask about Doomsday Hill because it's this big hill. So if you're not familiar, it's just over half a mile of a hill and it's at a 6.5% grade. So it's steep. And going uphill in the bear crawl position is actually a lot easier than even going flat, because all the weight is back on your hips and your legs.
Oh, that's a good point.
So there came a point where going uphill,
be miserable.
Downhill is hard, especially at those angles.
Yeah.
Because all the weight's shoulders and wrists. And then your head is down lower.
Okay.
And so downhill is very hard. Flat is not too bad. Uphill is actually not easy, but it's easier.
Okay.
So anytime I hit a hill, I was like kind of excited for it. But Doomsday, where it was like 2:30 in the morning by that point, so it's super dark out, and by that point, I mean my hands are already super blistered up, and they're like popping and hurting, and then my left wrist started hurting really bad, I think just from the pressure, and that was really like the darkest point of the journey for me, both literally and figuratively. Like that's when I started really questioning, like, can I do this?
Okay.
I want to be done. I never said I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
Like, cause in my head the whole time I was like, I'm going to finish. It's a non-negotiable. But I remember standing up and looking at the team, and if I remember right, my exact words were, I need a mindset shift.
Okay.
I was like, cause I'm struggling. Like every step is just horrible and I just want to be done.
Yeah.
And they just surrounded me. And the like testament to your community, your people that you're around was never been more clear, because they just surrounded me. They all looked at me and they're like, we're not going anywhere. We're here until you're done. And
so your whole team was down, like ride or die. We're staying 24 hours.
The whole team was there the entire time.
Wow.
Yeah. Including my wife and everyone else. So they were just like, we're not going anywhere. And, and they prayed with me. Yeah. We were singing songs. We had like Forrest Frank on blast the whole time. And, we did a bunch of different music, but we kept coming back to Forrest. Okay. And
shout out to Forrest.
Yeah, shout out Forrest Frank, man. He got me through some tough times. And yeah, there was no point where like on Doomsday where I really like no switch flipped. All I know is I just got back down and kept crawling, and then just kept going. Yeah. And then we met Kane going up Doomsday, and then at the top of Doomsday is when kind of the switch flipped.
Who's Kane?
Yeah. So Kane is a young man that we met. We were going up Doomsday Hill again, like 2:33 in the morning, and he was walking down, and just like any normal person would, he was like, "What are you guys doing? What are you doing?"
2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 2:30 in the morning. I'm just bear crawling.
Yeah.
With like 6 other people around me.
Yeah.
And so
it's like they must have the good stuff.
Yeah. And so we told him what I was doing, and it turns out he said he had just gotten out of detox that day.
Oh wow.
And ran into us. And so he's like, "Can I follow along?" We're like, "Yeah, sure." And so he starts tagging along. And what's funny is we also found out that to get my mind off of it, like while I was bear crawling, a buddy of mine started asking me trivia questions.
Okay.
Like just random trivia. Like he'd pull it up on his phone.
Yeah.
And we'd do like Lord of the Rings trivia or like The Office or whatever. And I loved it.
Yeah.
But at one point I was like, I would like stand up to answer the questions. And my wife's like, "You can't stand up. You got to keep crawling." You know, like, like it's not an excuse to stop crawling. And
you're like, is it Legolas or Gimli?
I know. I'm like, let me think about this as I give myself a break. And so we were asking trivia, and then Kane, who's just like in the back literally following us, starts answering the trivia questions too, which was just super funny because I was like, "Who's this guy? Like, this is my trivia." Like, and so he just starts playing along. And then we're like, there was a couple of times where we would stop and pray. Like we prayed so much through this journey.
Yeah.
And he started joining in, like just
cool, man.
being in on the circles.
And he just got out of detox.
And
what
just
a cool
got out of detox.
motivation to keep going.
Yeah. And then at one point towards we get to the top of Bloomsday Hill, and my wife has a broom and she's actually sweeping the sidewalk in front of me so I'm not slipping on the gravel. And he walked up to her and was like, "Here, I want a broom. I want to sweep."
Yeah.
And then he ended up just sweeping the rest of the way. So like the last mile and a half or two, he swept the whole thing.
What a cool kid.
And yeah, just jumped in. Like he just saw what we were doing and wanted to be, I guess, a part of it, and just saw the opportunity to serve.
Yeah.
And he swept all the way through. And then and then what's wild is at the very end, like when I finally hit the finish line and everything, I like looked around for him to thank him, and he had just completely disappeared, and my team didn't know where he went. He just was gone. And so, yeah, if anyone knows who Kane Novak is or where he's at, I want to thank him because he just jumped in and helped out so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know anything.
That'd be cool
more than
if people could find him. That'd be great.
Yeah. So, but
I don't know. Maybe he's just an angel that showed up to help sweep, dude.
He might be. That's what we were talking about.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. So,
what a crazy timing and motivation while you're in Doomsday Hill and you're at like the part where everybody wants to quit.
Yep.
And you got some guy that comes out of rehab that's where you were at.
Yeah.
While you're doing this.
Yeah.
To walk in front of you, literally sweeping the way.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
It's the symbolism in that whole thing is just unreal. Because like the darkest part of the journey, I meet myself.
Yeah.
On the journey. He's sweeping in front of me. We hit the top of Doomsday Hill, and within 30 minutes, the sun's poking up, and it's coming up over the houses in the neighborhood that I'm bear crawling through. And at that point, there's just something just flipped, and there was like, in my mind, there was no going back.
Yeah.
And even though the pain was still there, and it was still obviously very hard, there was just a lightness to like my soul of just. All of a sudden, it was like, I mean, literally with the sun shining, I was like, we got this, and we're going to finish this thing out. Yeah.
Man, what was the story you were hoping to get out to the community through this?
Yeah, the biggest thing, really the two big things that I wanted to get out there was just the concept of like, we do recover and we can do anything. Like we do hard things. And I think that was kind of number one. Number two, what became, I think, a big part of the story was that you can only go so far as the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And like my team was everything. Like they fueled me, fed me, rewrapped my hands, motivated me, encouraged me, challenged me. Like without the right people in my corner, like there's no way I could have I could have done it. And so I think those are kind of the two huge pieces I wanted to get across is like, you know, for those who maybe have lost hope or maybe they're struggling or they know somebody who's struggling with substance abuse, like there is hope and people can heal and do incredible things. And then also it's just so important who's around you and who's in your life. You know, there's this saying like you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go with someone, you know, go with others. And I think those are the two big things I wanted to get across. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful story, dude. I still can't get it out of my head of that kid walking in front of you sweeping. Like,
yeah,
that's incredible. What, that kind of messed me up, dude. Like I was like kind of visualizing it and it just, I was like, that must've been such a powerful motivator to keep going. What, after you got done with the race, well, first of all, did you have any injuries? Like how in the heck, I mean, 24 hours of doing that, like how long did it take to like recover from that? And you know,
so my hands were super torn up, which I expected. I knew that was going to happen, but it still was, I mean, it was brutal.
And what did you do to protect your hands?
So I wrapped my hands in tape and then we did, like another wrap of like, I guess, I don't even know what it's called, surgical wrap or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So we wrapped it in that and
like
then
the
I would wear
softer
gloves.
stuff when you wrap your ankle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I would wear gloves on top of that.
You still jacked your hands
and
up?
I still did. I went through, I don't even, 4 or 5 pairs of gloves.
Oh, wow.
Like literally the palms of them are just absolutely shredded.
Wow.
And I saved all of my gloves from training all the way up through Bloomsday. And so I'm going to take a picture of like the whole lineup of gloves.
Cause they're just frame them.
Yeah. They're just
get like
wrecked.
a long frame thing and like,
but yeah, it still was just, like I would pull off my gloves and wraps because I rewrapped multiple times. And then we ended up having to go out and buy moleskin because of all the blisters. And so we would put the moleskin on top and like cut out around the blisters and put it on and then wrap and then glove. But so hands were beat up and that took it literally this week is probably, the first week where I haven't noticed any like repair. So a month out.
Holy smokes.
And then my left wrist was pretty jacked up for a while.
Yeah.
I never went and got it officially looked at, but my theory is like a hairline fracture maybe, or just really overdone tendons or something.
Yeah.
But I actually splinted. I bought like a full arm splint.
Oh, wow.
And, wore that brace for about 2.5 weeks and now it's fine now. So whatever it is, it healed up. But outside of that, like my body was fine.
Wow.
I was working the next day.
That's crazy.
I was sore. Like I've told people it's like going, you know, doing a hard day of lifting at the gym and you're just sore the next day.
Yeah.
That's about what it was. That's it.
Holy smokes, man.
Which that's just shout out to my
I
trainer.
just took some glutamine and I was okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
That's that beef liver I
take.
take.
That protein shake. That's crazy, dude. I would feel like I'd need back surgery or something afterward.
No, I know a lot of people are like, go see a chiropractor. I was like, I feel fine. Like
that's
I genuinely
crazy.
I did go get like a deep tissue massage like a week later.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that helped. But I mean, just a shout out to my trainer and the work that got put in because the recovery was actually not bad at all. Yeah.
What's after Bloomsday, man, you were like everywhere. You were in the newspaper, you were on the news, you were on Instagram. Like, how has your life changed since actually doing this? And how has the Spokane community embraced you?
Well, the Spokane community has been unreal with all of this. Like, even during the race, like having so many people just show up and support and cheer. And like there was a stretch like towards the end where I was going and there were just people all around me. And, and they're like shouting out their like recovery dates. They're like,
no way. That's
they'll be like,
super
I'm a
dope.
week, I'm 10 years, I'm 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, and that was, I mean, talk about motivating too. Like that was just like,
Yeah.
as I'm going to the finish line, like I'm just hearing these stories. I'm like, this is why I'm doing it. Like, and so, yeah, the Spokane community and the support's been amazing. Like there's been folks who have reached out who actually have no substance abuse history, no family struggles, and just seeing, just human resiliency and strength, I guess, on display was encouraging to them.
Yeah.
And people have just been amazing. Like the Spokane community has just been so cool. And I think one of the cool things with, you asked like how my life has changed. After the bear crawl, I had over 24 inquiries on my site for aftercare scholarships, which is why I bear crawled. I guess I never said that.
Yeah.
I bear crawled to raise money for aftercare scholarships. And I had over 24 hits just specifically on that.
Wow.
And then, a lot of
So
just
you
comments.
inspired over 24 people to go and get help.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. And then the donations itself, like my fundraising goal was 10K.
Yeah.
And we hit just over 20K in
come on.
24 hours.
Come on.
So, which is just
That's
unreal.
incredible.
Like, I got my donor list the other day, and it's 8 pages.
Wow.
8 pages of people who supported and caught the vision, and I'll forever be grateful for that because it's just those aren't just names and emails on a piece of paper. Like those are people who are either impacted themselves, have family, or just see the need to like love big in this way. Yeah. And especially in this community, I mean, I think you don't have to go far to know that it's a big issue in our neighborhoods. Yeah. And so to be able to do anything we can to help people regain themselves, rebuild their lives, and build lives that they love, lives they don't have to escape from, like any chance we can take to do that, like we're doing it. And Spokane showed me they're on board. Yeah.
One of the things that I've been noticing as we've been talking about this is your faith's come up a few times. How does your faith influence your daily life, and how has your faith been a part of you wanting to do the Bear Recovery Foundation?
Yeah, so faith has always been a part of the recovery journey. Like I talked about earlier, the grasping of the belovedness of Christ for me was so transformative. And I think it's one of those things, right, where when you get something that good, you can't keep it to yourself, right? You win the lottery, you're going to tell somebody.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's where it flows from. And I think I've been in the recovery space. I've been in rooms and around people that I probably never would have had the opportunity to be around. And like I said, I'm seeing these people, and they're amazing and they're beautiful, and they just need a shot. And it's interesting. I was reading bedtime Bible stories to my boys the other day, and we come across the passage where Jesus, Jesus' followers are talking like, well, when did we do this for you? Like, when did we, feed the poor and visit those in prison and clothe the naked? And he's like, well, when you did, Jesus says, you did this for the least of these, you did it to me. And we were reading that, and my oldest son is like, oh, like Bear. And he associated, and right there I was like, oh man, like
cool dad
it's
moment.
Associating what we're trying to do with the mission of Jesus.
Tear up, dude.
Yeah.
That almost got me. That would be such a cool dad moment.
Yeah. It was insane. And because I think that's the cool thing is like, it's not just, dad or, Brenton bear crawled 7 miles. Like that's cool. But what we're doing and who we're trying to serve and love flows from our identity and in Christ, and it flows out of a mission to serve Christ. And that's where it comes in. And my hope is that with a second chance with a second shot, that these folks are going to get an opportunity to not just regain themselves, not just regain their family and their lives, but my hope is that they experience the love of Christ through what we're doing and come to know him. Yeah.
Has that got tested yet? And what I mean by that is what I've found in doing this work for a while is oftentimes people will start with the heart of doing ministry, and then different funding opportunities, different sources, different event spaces, they won't open up unless it's secular. Mm-hmm. And then you're kind of tested in that of going, am I going to keep faith as a central part of the mission? Has that happened to you yet?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it has. Yeah. We actually, our very next, we had the Bear Crawl event. Our next event planned had something similar to that, where it was going to be allowed in a certain way, but there was stipulations that were getting put on it. And it was just one of those things where.
What do you mean by that? Like they wouldn't let you?
There was simple things like not praying before the event.
Like you could use their event space, but you couldn't pray before the event. Right. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Huh. Which blew my mind, because I'm like, you look at all crazy. The, political rallies and all the other events that start with prayer, even when they're blatantly not religious affiliated, but they start with prayer.
Yeah.
So it just blew my mind. But it was one of those things where it came back with these list of regulations, right? And one of them was like no prayer at the start. And so, it's been tested. I mean, to me, I was like, well, we're not, I'm not caving on that. Venue. Yeah, I'll find somewhere else. Yeah. I don't know, I'll do it in my backyard if I have to.
Yeah.
There's no giving in on that. God in his mercy and grace has given me everything to this point. And everything is flowing to him. I'm not ducking on that.
Yeah.
So
I think God will honor that, man, and really bless it. But yeah, it's definitely something that I don't know if a lot of people understand till they get into it.
Yeah.
But I can't say, I probably had I can't even tell you how many people now doing this for 15 years have started a faith-based kind of part of their organization. And then as time's gone on, they've kind of just let that part go because, they needed funding, or, the mission kind of slightly changed. But you've been talking about your faith so much. I was just curious to be like, is the faith part going to be part of the Bear recovery?
Oh yeah. It's definitely going to be the undercurrent of all of it.
Yeah.
I think at face value, it's not going to be something that's in your face, but it's going to be present in all of our events, in all of my talks, anything that our hands are actually functionally in.
Yeah, you're going to be you. You're going to be yourself. You're not going to change. Got it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Is your wife excited and pumped for you?
Yeah.
Is she proud of you?
Yeah, she is. Yeah. She is. And it's been fun to see kind of the vision catch on with the family. And of course the boys, they bear crawl around all the time now. And, my oldest says he wants to bear crawl Bloomsday Junior, the junior race for the kids.
That would be so sick.
I know.
I will sponsor that for him if he wants to do it.
I want to see if he'll actually commit and do it.
If he commits to it, I'll pay for his race.
Epic.
I will pay for it. That would be such a cool moment.
Yeah, and he's the one that finished with me.
Bloomsday, a mile and a half or 3 miles? I forget what Bloomsday Junior is.
I don't know. I want to say it's got to be a mile, right? Or a mile and a half, maybe?
Maybe. And how old is he?
8.
Yeah, so he could totally do it.
Yeah, he could do it. Yeah. And he got to, he's so funny because he finished the race with me.
Mike Ellis again. Have him, he'd probably come out and do it and pump it out.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be fire.
Yeah.
That would be a cool moment.
Yeah, it would be super cool. I would love it.
Okay.
But it's up to him, but we'll see if he does it. Yeah.
That's crazy. When you look at the next 5 or 10 years, what would be your dream for your organization?
I think the dream would be, my goal is to be the largest aftercare advocate program in the country within 5 years.
Wow.
Meaning we're scholarshiping and contracting with treatment centers nationwide.
Wow.
I see aftercare development happening to where we can actually implement aftercare programming with treatment centers that don't have it yet, but see the value in it.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll probably be able to do that as well. And then I would like, my dream is just to hear countless stories of God's grace and success on people that are, 1 month, 6 months, a year, 10 years, sober and in recovery and love in life.
Yeah.
Because of everything that they gained through aftercare programming. And if we can play a small part in that, like that's what I want. And then, and just to be able to sit back and thank God for the opportunity to serve his children.
Yeah.
And to help people just love big and love well.
I love the vision, man, and I love that you're shooting big.
Yeah.
I love that you're going for it.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I wasn't expecting that. That was like, we want to be one of the best in the nation. I love that.
Yeah, there's not.
It's incredible. Why not? Go for it.
Go for it. And so many, aftercare is such an unknown subject. Everyone knows about rehab.
Yeah.
Nobody knows all the work that goes into it after rehab. Yeah. And that is where you get the foundation in rehab.
A lot of people will go through 9-month programs and not have good aftercare and collapse.
Yep.
See it over and over and over, man. It's a super important part of it. Mm-hmm. And the community afterward, and what communities they get a part of, and what friends they get a part of, and how they get wrapped around. Last 2 questions, what would you say to a young Brenton if he was listening to you right now? Let me go back to – 25-year-old Brenton.
Man, I would say hold on to the ride and just keep moving forward. Like, it's going to work out. If I would have listened at the age of 25, I would have probably told myself, do the work on finding your identity in Christ, and not just saying the words, but actually doing the work of figuring out what that looks like, because everything is going to flow from that. Like your marriage, your parenting, your vocation, your relationship with God is going to flow from how you properly understand God and yourself. I don't know if that's something that can really ever truly happen without experience, and that takes time. But I think I would tell myself that. Work on figuring out what it looks like to have your identity so solidly grounded that no matter what comes your way, like, you just keep moving forward. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Last question. If you could speak to a person right now that's in the midst, they're in that place right now in the midst of addiction where they feel like they're just kind of in a pit and they can't get out of it. And they're in that place of the guilt, the shame, the hiding, the, sneaking money, trying to keep it away. And they just feel overwhelmed with hopelessness. What would you say to them?
I would say you're not alone. You feel like it. You feel like nobody has dealt with what you've dealt with, gone through what you've gone through. But there are countless numbers of us who have been right there. You're not alone. I would say every minute that you're breathing, you do have the chance to turn it all around, and you can choose, for lack of a better word, to make it. Now, a lot of times that's going to come at the rock bottom, the rock bottom foundation that you hit on. And sometimes it takes that. But I think holding on to hope, like there are so many people in the recovery world that have found hope and have found joy again and have found life again. And look to those people, because that's inspiration, that there's hope for you. And when it comes to the shame part, because that's such a massive thing, I think I would tell whoever it is that's struggling with that, first of all, Christ takes that shame on the cross, and you can literally just set it aside on him and not have to walk under that weight. And when you're dealing with shame, you talk about it. You've got to be honest, and you've got to share it. Like Ann Voskamp has an amazing quote that says that shame dies when stories are told in safe places. And finding a safe place to share your story, you will be amazed at how the shame dissipates, because you'll realize you're not alone. Other people have been there, and other people are standing with you and right next to you, and they want to see you heal. They want to see you succeed. When I was going through everything, I remember thinking, like, if I come out, like, I'm going to lose everybody, like come clean, right, with my addiction, I'm going to lose everyone. And like, yes, maybe a couple of people dropped off, but by and large, almost everybody stood right next to me, put their arms around me, and was like, let's go. Let's figure this out. We're here with you. We'll heal with you. And I think when you're in the midst of active addiction, your brain lies to you and tells you you're all alone and you'll always be alone. And that's just not reality. That's not truth. Yeah.
I love it, dude. Let's end on that. If anybody's trying to get a hold of you or get a hold of your organization, how do they do that?
Yeah. So I'm on all of the socials: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. And that's just at Bear Recovery Foundation. And then my website is going to be launching within the next week, and that's bearrecovery.org.
Okay.
I've got contact information all on there. But yeah, definitely reach out, email, phone call, whatever we can do to help.
Cool. And then you'll have a donate link on your website.
Yep. I'll have all the donate links, everything you need there to give and support.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, man. This is a great story, and it was cool to see how God's been using it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the beginning.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man.
And we'll try to, man, it'd be super cool if we could get you connected to Forrest Frank somehow.
I know.
That would be
We got to do it.
All
I'm
right.
going to see him in July.
You are?
Yeah. Portland. So.
Okay. Let me make some calls.
We'll figure it out.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, man.
See you, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, I want you to make sure to like and share and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. We're grateful for every listener. Your support helps us keep sharing stories of faith, hope, and real transformation. And if this episode encouraged or challenged you, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. If you'd like to support victims of sex trafficking and be part of the fight for freedom, visit helpingcaptives.org to learn more. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.